So welcome to today's live. I apologize, we are starting a bit late. Well, not really late. I wanted to set up a few things and si kwa niliamka nikiwa na feeling ya as if sitaki kuingia kwa hii live. However, because nilikuwa nimesema nitaingia kwa live kwa Facebook the Mwegas show, why not? Let's do this. Let's first of all check kama everything iko sawa in terms ya sound. Now that hakuna mtu mwenye ako on, itabidi nimejiangalilia. This is called struggle streaming. Anyway, wacha tuone kama sauti iko poa. Kama sauti iko poa, then we continue. Streaming. Great. So anyway, sound is good. Now, I wanted to look at a few Facebook posts za kuongea story ya masculinity. However, because sijui nini nilikunywa jana nikasahau charge ya laptop, and that's what I'm streaming from. So I have something like an hour, 40 minutes, an hour of charge. So I want to do this very fast. Now, I've been a very political person for a while, right? Up to mahali pale 2013. 2017 was the last time I voted. And the reason why is because I think the first time I voted was 2002. Right? Hii ni the first time kulikuwa na NAC, when the change of guard from Moi to now these new guys was coming in. So that's the first time I voted. And since then, I have learned that, or I've come to learn that this voting thing, it's just an illusion. That's my my analysis, the way I look at it, or the way I look at voting. Yeah, I know there are a lot of people who, for them, it is very important. To me, when it came to 2022, I was like, I'm not going to wake up early in the morning to go vote for someone. In fact, between the two, that is KK na Azimio, nobody there alikuwa ananibamba. About Ruto beef yangu na yeye ilianza 2007 to 2008, that time ya post-election violence. Okay, that's the Ruto Raila thing. So when it came to 2022 and it is Ruto versus Raila, and we all know what happened in 2007, I'm Kikuyu. So when I say you know what happened in 2007, you understand where I'm coming from. Okay. Now, when it came to 2013, where there was this peace deal between my community and the Kales, that is through Uhuruto or Uhuruto, I was like, let me see if this thing will work. Okay. So now, beef yangu na Rao starts way back, because me, I've been born and bred in Kibera. And Rao was our MP since forever. Paka ile time aliamua kwanza kuchase stories za presidency. And if we are honest, time Rao alitoka kwa hiyo kiti, ndio Kibera ilianza kuinuka. So time ya Ken Okoth, fabulous things happened. Okay, so mi na Rao beef yetu ilianza kitambo huko, was being in Kibera, being from my community. Of course kulikuwa na hizo stories za tribal clashes, kulikuwa na hizo stories za tenant na landlord, so kulikuwa tuna beef. So beef yangu na Ruto ilikuja hapo 2007. So you see, me and Rao beef yetu ilianza kitambo. But that is not here nor there. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain why in 2022 I chose not to vote. Because it was between two people I will not want to vote for. Anyway, having said that, kuna wale watu wenye saindi wameingia kwa politics, or kuna wale watu wenye sahi ndio wamegrow up and they are seeing the state of the nation and they are wondering what is happening and they are thinking this is something new. Now I'm going to play a clip from Pastor JJ and Muigai wa Njoroge, which was published on YouTube 12 years ago. 12 years ago. So this is something which has been happening. This is something people have been talking about for over a decade. And even longer than that. Ikimaanisha nilivote 2002 inamaanisha hiyo ndio time yenye nilipata ID. So that's when I got to the age of majority. Okay. So I've been alive long enough to see the political process, hear the promises, the disappointments, hizo vitu zingine. However, I don't want to talk about who is being voted for or who is not being voted for. I want to talk about politicians in general. And for the people from my community, the Gikoyos, this one will be, if you have not watched this video, please go and watch it. There are 5 parts. So if I do the first part and you like it and I give my analysis and you say you want me to do a second part, or if I feel like doing the second part, I will do it. Now, let's get into this kwa sababu charge inaisha and I am very verbose in terms ya kuongea sana. So I have my drink hapa kwa mkono. Itanisaidia ku keep this thing rolling mpaka mahali charge itaishia. So kiangalia hapa chini, I'm just checking if the stream is good. Anyway, let me see. So this is Pastor JJ and Muigai, and they are speaking in the Kikuyu dialect. So I will try to translate as much as possible, but then mkumbuke mimi ni msapere wa town, so kuna vitu zingine zitanipita. Anyway, let's get into it.
Koromo tugo ne wethamba goro yogatherera no ndi wethambe ndikanetwo wanyu mbeno ya mumbi.
So this is a song I think by Mwegas, and he's saying that if traditions or if traditions are something you can just go to the river and take a bath and it changes, then he will go take that bath and stop being a Kikuyu. So that's basically what he has said. So let's continue. Tucheze tuone tumefika wapi.
No ngigwa makeyugithia yanga ngiorio atia nye atia kana ure mugikoyo ahora ene ndoe no akenduenda tondu riri ati okuga korwo mutugo no wethamba tigo tuika mugikoyo otuike muthungu kangoire korwo ikorwo korwo ni njuragio ndacoka ndaya maitu njiaroka ruriri-ini karia kanini muno thiini wa bururi uyu koguo tatindaga githerana no nene andu acio meragwo matire mwaririria ngwiciria aria maikaraga muno thayo gukira ithui.
So for those people who are not from the Kikuyu nation, so Muigai, so this is Pastor JJ and the other guy is Muigai wa Njoroge. So now Pastor JJ had Muigai singing about going to the river and taking that bath, and then he's asking, so I've heard you say these things, can you elaborate? And then Muigai is saying, if I was given a choice, I would go back to my mother's womb and choose to be born from those small tribes in Kenya, those ones who are perceived to be not represented in politics, because it seems like they have an easier, a better life. Like that's what he's saying in terms of the political space. Now, I can understand what he's saying because let's be honest, every time it comes to times for elections, you'll hear the mountain people, the lake people, so those are the Kikuyu, the lake people, those are the Luos, the Luya nation, the Luya nation. Those will be the people who will be on the canvas. Those will be the people who will be here struggling, fighting for these political positions. But let's look at a community like the Ogiek. Is it Ogiek or Ongiek? Like, they're just living. Let's look at people like, for example, the now that it's different. Remember, this one was from 12 years ago. So devolution had not come. So now let's assume there was no devolution. So there were no county and ward, those politics. So it was just national. The Taitas were just chilling. They didn't care, or they will just wait for whoever will come, give them what they'll give them whatever promises, but they will never pick up arms to go to war. What happens in 2007? They were saying it is 40, was it 40 versus 1 or 41 versus 1? So it was all communities versus the Kikuyu community. Let's just be honest. That was the rhetoric or the rhetoric. So it did not matter whether you were a Kikuyu who did not support the traditional Kikuyu politicians, right? Maybe you are one of those people who believed in change, who wanted to see change, and who believed that other people from other tribes should also become or sit on the presidency. But the rhetoric was 40 versus 1 or 41 versus 1. So all of us versus you guys. It doesn't matter what you support, as long as you're from that tribe, we are against you. But nobody was talking about the Tavetas, the Taitas. Nobody was talking about the Kurias, the Kisis, right? And that is what he's talking about, all right? So you have to understand it from that perspective, that this is about the fighting for this position that everybody wants to take, okay, the presidency. And that's what they're talking about. So let's get in a little bit. I'll let it play a bit longer, and then I'll come in and summarize for those people who don't understand the language, because there are people who understand this language who are, I'm sure, getting pissed off that I'm posting it too much. But just look at the title. Just if you don't want to listen to my analysis, kimbia pale kwa nini kwa let me see if I can post the link, right? Let me copy this link. I pin it so that anyone who comes in and doesn't want to watch my analysis and everything can just go to the first comment. Let me see if I can pin it in a letter. It is bringing knowledge or kujua. Let me see. Ama nitaeka kwa description and also leave it there as the first comment. Anyway, tuendelee. Let's continue. My internet is a bit slow. My laptop is slower even, so yeah, let's.
Kana otueke riri aya mena andu mamoragiria
no thie ikwogire kuhika kwa rume ni guthama na tiga ngai anduire wa mugambo ati ni ngukimenya kana ndathie na ndanire ngai gukandariria ha hari undu ingika
ruriri rwa gikuyu ruriri rwa gikuyu ni rwahitirie ni rwahingicanire gikuyu kiugaga ati wa modana wagithie andu wahitanire ni ciahingicanire uguo reke ngohe ohoro kawe no horo ndwagithothora ngoka gukuona no riu icio ni cia bata makiria tondu ruriri ruru rwitu ri riria ugatua guthama ri ndukanandige
ona ri ukuhika
na tugathie na shopping wa bibiana
ndagitekera kuhika
So This is two gentlemen who are part of the culture, who are analyzing the problems within the culture. So basically, this is the summary of everything they are saying. So if you are here and you're feeling triggered that it's political, yes, but it is political within the culture of the Kikuyu. So that is what they are going to be talking about. What are the issues within the culture and the political space within the Kikuyu culture? And now, Pastor JJ, he found Muigai singing that saying that he wants to leave the culture, leave the tribe if it was possible. And now he is saying also, when your time to leave comes, please do not leave me behind. Tell me, we go together. Okay, so I just wanted to say that so that when we continue, you understand the concept or the foundation of this dialogue. Of course, it's going to touch on other tribes because the political space, you can't talk about politics in Kenya without being ethnic. And anyone who thinks that Kenyan politics is not ethnically driven hasn't been in this space long enough. Oh, Katambe.
Tikana tigo.
Endete utongoria ta nyama ya hihio.
Ona kewenda ne ruo riri. Hana rwa kuru mundu we mundu rumenda rumago ndaheagwo ciana.
Gutire. Gikuyu-ini gutire na korwo ni kuri unjire no. Gutire. No ucio ungitema agitemera ungi.
Ndagika-ini no turiri. Gutire. Na nikio nani ndauga ugithie ri. Ndukandige tondu riri. Ruriri ruru ri. No ruo ruhana mburi itari muriithi.
Uga.
No ruo reke ngwire kiugo.
Yeah.
Muici wa Mugikuyu ri. Ni Mugikuyu. Moragi Mugikuyu ri. Ni Mugikuyu. Mutunyi Mugikuyu ri. Ni Mugikuyu. Muhania wa Mugikuyu ri. Ni Mugikuyu.
Mukunyaniri wa Mugikuyu.
Ni Mugikuyu.
Muthurwo ni Mugikuyu.
No Mugikuyu.
This is very important, and this is what is laying the foundation for their discussion. This is what they are saying for those people who don't understand this tribe, saying the people who lie to the Kikuyus are the Kikuyus. The people who kill Kikuyus are the Kikuyus. The people who, hoodwink, con, all those words, the Kikuyus, are Kikuyu. And those who get elected by Kikuyus are Kikuyu. You get? So they are just talking about we are our own problem. So basically that is what they are saying. We are our own biggest problem. The Kikuyus are the problem for the Kikuyus.
Reure gai gotire itathekwo ngagikwira atiriri Mugikuyu na waigua moruti wothe
ekore mwega
he handu hageire thina tondu Mugikuyu ni group igiri ni baraici igiri baria mwathwo
na mwathani
na baria mwathani
ni wauga
ituraga uguo
jaga mundu tawe niki
gakundi horo ituraga uguo kuma ni waiguire bũrũri-inĩ wage wiyathi
ni wageire
makegayano keri amwe magethi githaka anga magethi wabici.
Tao karibu sana, ndio tumeanza, hata tujaenda sana, ndio tumeanza. Welcome, and if you want to get on, just tell me. I share with you the link so that we can have this conversation and discuss what is being said here. I don't know if you've watched this video, but tuendelee. Utaniambia kama nataka kuja on kutumie link, and then we see if it's possible.
Karamu na ruhio
bara ndia kirohirwo ni andu eri
karamu
omwe na ruhio uria ungi na karamu thina waumire hau
yona geke ruhio na karamu ri
magethi wabici
karamu
Just a little bit.
baria mwathwo
mwathani
na baria kwa Mugikuyu ri ni Mugikuyu moragi Mugikuyu ri ni Mugikuyu mutunyi Mugikuyu ri ni Mugikuyu muhania wa Mugikuyu ri ni Mugikuyu
mukunyaniri wa Mugikuyu
ni Mugikuyu
muthurwo ni Mugikuyu
no Mugikuyu riu ri
gai
gotire itathekwo ngagikwira atiriri Mugikuyu na waigua moruti wothe
ekore mwega
he handu hageire thina tondu Mugikuyu ni group igiri ni baraici igiri
baria
mwathwo
na mwathani
na mbare ya mwathani
no auga
itoraga uguo
jaga mundu tawe niki
ngokundio horo itoraga uguo kumanira waiguira bururi wage.
So I've posted the link hapo kwa comments, so just click on it, itakupeleka kwa StreamYard. Just click hizo link, utakamon, nitakuona kwa my nini nitoaje hapa back si back street kwa dashboard, and then I will bring you on. So let's continue watching. Turudi nyuma kidogo so that we pick it up.
Tondu mungeko ne group igere ne bareci igere
mbare ya
mwathwo
na mwathani
na mbare ya mwathani
no auga
itoraga uguo
jaga mundu tawe niki
ngokundio horo itoraga uguo kumanira waiguira bururi wage wiyathi
no wageire
makegayano keri ama magethi gethaka anga magethi wabici.
Yeah, so they are talking about that the Kikuyus, they are yeah, Moses, I see ume click link, I see you hapa kwa nini. Let me add you to the stream. I hope uko sawa, uko mahali comfortable, mahali unaweza ongea. I bring you on, and here we go. Tafuta mahali utulie na unazunguka okay. So when you are good, just bring weka cam on, and then I'll see that you are ready. So what Muigai and Pastor JJ are talking about is that the Kikuyu, they are wako mara mbili. There are those ones who are in leadership, ama political leadership, and then there are those ones who are in who are wale wana nini. Karibu sana Getao. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. And today I wanted to be a bit political, and not really political because this is part of our culture. And I remembered watching this video like 10 years ago of Pastor JJ and Muigai, and they are talking about the Kikuyu, the culture, and the political space of the Kikuyu. So basically, they started talking about how if they were given an option to get out of the culture, that they will take it. Why? Because it seems that there are a lot of issues within our culture which has been brought by the politicization or the ethnic politics in Kenya. And one of the things that they are talking about is that the people who steal from the Kikuyus are the Kikuyus. The people who lie to the Kikuyus are the Kikuyus. And the people who vote for the Kikuyus are the Kikuyus. So what do you think about that statement?
Well, I would say that we are our own enemy. It fits that explanation according to me.
Yes, it is. And so now wamefika in the discussion, they've gotten to the place where they are saying that there was a time when there were like two camps, and they are talking about the fight for independence, of course. That there are those people who went to the forest who carried the machetes, and then there are those people who went to the office who are carrying the pens. Mm-hmm. And they are saying that the fight for independence for the Kikuyu community was being fought for the two arms. So let me just play it a little bit. I explain kidogo, and then you come and tell me your analysis or understanding of what they are talking about.
Karamu na rohio
bara dia kiroirwo ni andu eri karamu omwe na rohio uria ungi na karamu thena waumire hau
yoria na giki rohio na karamu uri mona ni iroha riri abotia gucokia abonjire atiriri ruru ni rohio ingigutema na rohio ruru uri ikana igathirika na nguteme na rohio na njoke ngutheca na karamu ya hari
ha rohio ni harie
uguo no warutire wira munene
ni wa rohio
na ruru ri rohio ri ateithikire naki
atheneire rĩrĩ wa rũhiũ na ngwĩre ũhoro ũcio nĩguo gũtũmaga ũine rwĩmbo rũu rũkũinaga mbere tondũ rĩrĩa athire gĩthaka rĩ we ndahotire gũthoma na rĩu no twacoka thutha nĩgetha turutie thĩna wa mũgĩkũyũ wambirie
kana tũgĩikare thĩ kana tũrũgamio haha ũhoro ũcio nĩngũigua ta ngwenda ũndonye
ona ũtanaikara thĩ ndũkene ndũkoe atanathiĩ rĩ ũyũ athiĩ gĩthaka rĩ kwarĩ kwega iyo nĩ njugaga atĩrĩrĩ kaba mũthũngũ atangĩathire tondũ ekuothe nĩ maiganaine
na nĩ njugaga atĩrĩrĩ kaba angĩathire oke tondũ kaba angĩathire oke kana akone hĩndĩ arathire tondũ nĩ angĩagĩtiga bũrũri wĩ mwegega ĩĩ twĩna ngoro ya ũmũndũ tũkorwo tũgĩthimagimara narĩ
rĩu thĩna wokĩire rĩrĩ athiĩ gĩthaka rĩ nake ũrĩa watũire aiguaga watho wa mũthũngũ tondũ marĩ o erĩ harĩ waiguanire na mũthũngũ na harĩ wareganire na mũthũngũ ũyũ wetĩkĩrire mũthũngũ ciana igĩthoma
andĩ moĩ metagwo ngati
neti wacio matitengũragwo ciana ciathoma na warĩa mareganire nake mathiĩ gĩthaka matiathomire rĩu rĩrĩa wĩyathi wokire waneirwo mbarĩ ya karamu tondũ gũtirĩ mũndũ gegũturatwo nĩ general kana waziri na ndoĩ kwandĩka rĩtwa rĩake.
Tell me what do you think about that? And now let's get into the discussion sasa, like deeper, and not play the clips again. So mpaka hapo, like that short clip that I played for you. What is your analysis of it? What are your thoughts?
Well, hii kitu ni interesting kwa sababu I think wanaongelelea they are speaking about that was the independence era and the gap that emerged between, because actually ukiangalia saa hii the people who fought for this country are still bado wanalilianga serikali that hawajai kuwa compensated. Like all their efforts were in vain. The lands, which of course that was the main motivating factor for them now to go to the forest and waende wazipiganie. Like when now they had, you know, actually because the warfare that they walikuwa wanatumia ilikuwa I think was the guerrilla warfare. So when they were fighting for this land, the outcome or the end result would be that kila mtu atapata mahali yake. Now of course now I also had JJ amesema that okay, even from history we had collaborators and we had the people who resisted now the rule. Now of course you are ruled by Britain. Now the people wenye obviously unajuanga ni kama tu saa hii actually if ukikubaliana na serikali you are going to enjoy some benefits, and if and you obviously unajua labda kama kuna oppression, kama kuna vitu mbaya zinafanyika, you kind of tend to like unafunga macho or you bury your head in the sand so that you don't held accountable. So it's the same thing that those people during that era did when they collaborated with the British. Wakasema obviously the British walikuwa wanaumiza, like they were hurting our people, but these people now because they choose to collaborate, they couldn't now understand the plight of the common people, or maybe they turned a blind like wakafunga macho yani unacheki. So there is that gap that emerged, that is from the people now who choose to support the British government, na wenye waliamua hawata support, they are going to resist it. Now ile gap ilitokea now ilikuwa ni now wenye walibaki, those who supported walipelekwa kwa hizo shule za British, they were educated immediately after independence, and because now zile kazi mingi zilikuwa zinafaa kufanyika zilikuwa maybe zinahitaji pia some level of masomo. Wenye walibaki now, the people who benefited now from the British education system, they were the ones who were considered, because wengine now walikuwa kichaka, and it's understandable, like they didn't have the time to read. So there is that imbalance, and mpaka sahi mimi sijaiona kama these people, especially the Mau Mau fighters, they are still crying up to date. So that's my take.
Yeah, I was listening to PLO Lumumba. He was kwa hii inaitagua Spice FM.
Yes.
And he said something very important. And I think that is something which imekuwa kwa akili yangu for a while. You know, there was a time I was really political until nikafika mahali I'm like, let me just, because this is just nonsense.
Yes.
So alisema, do we even have the right governance structure? Because what we are using is what we inherited.
Yes.
And then when you got to the point where we were making a new constitution, we did not even go to the African countries who had their own unique constitution, which was not taken from the whites. So all those benchmarkings were being done in those nations, Britain, USA. Like if you look at our devolution is the federal system in the US. But then we didn't even go the full federal route. Like we were doing a weird hybrid, and this is something he said because he was the secretary to that constitutional review committee. He said that even the current system we are using was not the one which the people wanted. The people wanted a parliamentary system where the president is just like a honorary figure. He's just a figure. It's just somebody ni urembo. Unatafutaga ka plant unakaeka mahali kurembesha nyumba, but haina any utility. However, the people wanted the power to reside with them and the people they elect. So that means the legislature. And now the legislature was the one which was supposed to elect a president. So like a parliamentary system where the president is not elected by the people, but elected by the parliamentarians, elected by the people. So that now the president now is answerable to the parliament, which is directly to the people. And he even quoted governance structure ya South Sudan, where they have, yes, one president, but multiple vice presidents. Because at the end of the day, our politics are ethnic, right? If mimi ni Msapere na sioni mtu wetu pale kwa serikali, I feel marginalized.
Yeah.
Haijalishi kama mtu wetu ni PS ni DC, nataka tu kuona mtu wetu pale. However, we went and took constitutions from even countries which were homogeneous. You know, like kama hizi za Scandinavian place kama Sweden, Denmark, hizo zinakwaga ni homogeneous society, ni one people. So it's like a nation of Luos or a nation of Cukes. So that is easy to run because this is a nation of one people. They have one culture. They have one way of doing things. So, but now when you come, and that's why even the federal system works for the way it's set up, works for America, because each state, each state is there because it wants to be there, and it can decide to secede from the US of A and become independent. Again. So, and just coming back to our culture, listening to Akina Mwegai and JJ, is that, and this is something which they are saying chini ya maji, is that the people who came to power were not the people who fought for the independence. That is basically what they are saying in so many words. The people who came to power did not fight for this independence. So they did not struggle for it. So they don't value it. So it is just there for them to come and eat. And even they even say, you know, we cannot talk about these people. And they like, ile chini ya maji tu, unajua hatuwezi ongelea hii story. Because honestly, the people, and in subsequent videos, they ask, and I don't know if it is in this video, they ask, hawa watu walisoma, walipata masaa ya kusoma wapi, na walikuwa nasomeshwa na nani? Because those are the things which we don't ask ourselves. Yes, wakati tulipata independence, we had people with degrees. Where did they get these degrees from? Where did they get them from? Because in that system, it was like the apartheid system in South Africa. hatukuwa tunaenda shule. So hiyo story ya degree, Kenya ungepata degree because unaenda kwa shule ya nani? But walitoa wapi hizo degree? And that tells me that Kenya did not gain independence. It just transitioned into another colonial structure. A colonial structure where we have blackface in as you know, kutufumba macho. However, huku nyuma ni mzungu. Right? So I see a president and I say, yeah, huyu ni wetu. No, huyu si wetu. Huyu ni puppet. Kuna wale watu wenye wanam-own. Because if you look at how much money was, I ask myself this. Now, let's take an example of Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta got to power when he was very young and vibrant. By the time ameweza miaka 10, he looks like he's about to die. Angalia Ruto. Ruto juzi tu hajamaliza hata mwaka. Got to power very vibrant. Sahi anakaka mtu anaenda. And look at how much money these people put into chasing this thing, which is destroying them. It does not make sense. It does. Angalia hata tuache tuongele hata Obama. Obama got into power when he was a good orator. When he got out, he was looking like somebody who wants to drop down and die. However, you see every time people are fighting for this. Yes?
Actually, when you've spoken of that, I think I think at an in leadership in any level, I think people tend to have what you think leadership is in your mind, and then ile sasa unaenda kupata kwa ground. Because if hata ukiangalia sahi, I think it's a dynamic which is across everything in life. Because one, you criticize, you tend to think that those who are in higher places, we tend to think that they're not doing enough, and kuna vitu mingi zinafaa kuwa zinafanyika. Like, look at what like an example you've given about our current president, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. And when now he was doing his campaign, all he could do alicapitalize sana na zile weaknesses of his now the former president. Until now, he's in office and he's now feeling the heat. Like the same issues that the former president alikuwa na struggle nazo. It's the same thing that the same things that he's also struggling with, and he's also being criticized now by other people for the same things he used to criticize people. Ni kama saa hata sisi tukiwa when we are kids, unasema mimi mama yangu ama my parents are this and this and this, and all you can do is just fault finding, sifanyi hivi until you yourself you become a parent, and then that is when you're able to understand, by the way, kumbe hii kitu bana si vile mtu huwa anafikiria. So I think that is what is actually playing out. And you've mentioned of like, I would call it neocolonialism. It's neocolonialism which is still at play, because it's Thomas Sankara who said that whoever feeds you controls you. And as long as you're still dependent on other nations, because you're still getting aid from other countries, especially the West, then that means that we'll never be able to make moves on our own. Like hata ukiangalia kama saa hii, like we have so many industries which are no longer working, and because a few years ago, and I think the Kenyan economy ilikuwa flourishing during the time of Kibaki, and this sijui kama ni venye alikuwa economist ama nini, but that one pia, the success of economy can be attributed to that. But again pia how will I call it, vile nimesema, like the thing is neocolonialism is still at play, because bado kama sahi you're still borrowing. If you're still borrowing, that means that you're still dependent on other nations, and of course ukitegemea mtu mwingine, how that works out. So it's a tricky situation we are in.
I was At least time ya Kibaki, I was old enough even to have voted during that time. One of the things that made Kibaki's reign, the first one, was that everybody was pulling in the same direction. During the first time ya Kibaki, wakati wa NAK, everybody was on board. Kukwa, even the opposition led by Uhuru Kenyatta was on board. Right? Everybody was working for Kenya. Then came 2007, when now we went apart and started pulling kila mtu side yake. That's when now things got fucked up. Not that is like between, I won't say that's when things got fucked up, because things got fucked up even during it, like immediately after independence. Why? Because the systems we put in place, number one, they were not African. We were still using the British. And remember, the British system was predicated on taking from Africa, taking it to Britain. Get? So it was the model was not develop Kenya. Was take resources from Kenya, go develop Britain. And that is still the same thing tunatumia sai. Why can't we, why are we still selling coffee kwa auction? Why? Because our economy is dependent on exports. Yes, sawa. But why can't we export already processed coffee?
And that goes back now
because
to
the model we are using. The model we are using is the model of chukueni mtuletee tujijenge.
We are consumers.
Take cheap. Yeah, as in take cheap. We are not we also producers. But we don't manufacture hapa katikati. So we produce, export for manufacturing, value addition inafanyiwa huko, then when it comes back like 10, 20 times more expensive. However, what is stopping us from developing our own processing plants and our own kama coffee that tunatengeneza mpaka high grade, that we even go to our neighboring countries and import their produce for us to process, so that now I know America is a coffee drinking nation, but they don't plant coffee, not the high grade that we have in Africa. So why wouldn't Kenya and Ethiopia, for example, jointly tengeneza a processing plant where we bring our coffee in a processed, and then now we can export. It is from the shelf to the cup. So now they can pay us those additional dollars. Yes.
You know, like I really like that perspective. And if I can, it is something the answer which I'm going to give is something which has been given by almost everyone, even now the Professor Lumumba. And ukiangalia, even not just Kenya, actually, because African countries are we are regarded as a developing nations. The third world countries are developing nations. And ukiangalia, Africa is endowed with a lot of resources, very, very, very many natural resources. Mingi sana. And actually, these countries now, our former colonizers are still, the scramble and partition of Africa is still like ongoing, ni kitu yenye bado yaisha, because the interests are still there. Now, we are endowed with the resources, but our problem is still the same, like ni leadership. If ukiangalia, all these things that we are discussing, they fall on leadership, the leadership part, because for an economy to thrive, that means that the country and the leader, he is coming up with policies which are favorable for businesses. Because if you make now, because ukisema kama ni manufacturing companies, they could be public and they could be private. And if they are both public and private, for the public companies, of course, those are funded by the government. But for the private companies, those are funded by individuals or other organizations. Now, we all know that businesses work now, they want to maximize their profit. So if you now pass laws that are going to make that will make doing business expensive in that country, of course, the companies and the organizations or the manufacturers, they are going to close down and maybe wataenda kutafuta mahali yenye ni favorable. Like, hata wewe mwenyewe ukiona yani, like you're not getting any profit and you're really putting a lot of work, putting a lot of money into kama ni kuprocess hizo now the raw materials zenye umeletewa, utakuwa unaona yani you are working at a loss, ama there is no profit, so your business is not doing anything. So it goes now back to leadership. What are these people who are in power, what are they doing? And because that is, kuna zile vitu zenye tunaweza fanya, and there is now the part that the government can do. So if now people are planting coffee, ama they are planting other raw materials and wanafanya part yao, now the other part is now for the government. There are so many cartels actually, kisikia mpaka saa hii watu wanalia, there are so many cartels au mabrokers wa hii vitu. When it comes now to the companies, actually saa hii kama government ingekuwa, the government is very much capable of building these processing companies, but now vile yani, now the leaders wenye tuko, when it comes now to people who are going to come up with policies which are going to make the economy thrive, then that is now where inakuja sasa. That is the main problem that we as African nations are struggling with.
So I just want to say, umesema our problem is leadership.
Yes.
But we don't have the correct leaders. I don't think we have leaders. We just have politicians. There was this discussion I listened to. I think it was a South African guy was saying that there's a difference between, okay, I even don't remember the name. Kuna vitu zingine mimi hupata tu random, and I
Vusi
there
are
politicians, that there are leaders who joined politics. So this was already a leader, and then they joined politics. So the leadership does not aimuachi. And then there are those politicians who join leadership. So now your politics aimuachi. So you see, just because somebody is a politician and they have a leadership position does not mean they are leaders. So that's what we have. We have politicians who are in leadership positions who are not leaders. And also, we have also the systems. Like I said, we have the wrong systems. If there was a system that, like, let's say something very, kama China. China have this, is it the Road and Bridges Initiative? I think that's what they are calling it. The one that is now supporting Africa and kila mtu. It is an 100-year plan. So haijalishi who is going to come into power, they have to stick to the plan. Problem yetu ni Uhuru ameingia, ameamua yeye atajenga sijui overpass, sijui nini. Ruto anaingia anakuta overpass iko nusu ijaisha, anasema achaneni na overpass, twendeni tukatengeneze maziwa. So we don't have a clear path. That, for example, if it is you, Geta, who is in power now, and you are building roads, when I come in, I have to finish the roads, right?
Yeah.
Because we have this 20 years, tuko na vision 2030, and it's just nice, something nice to wipe our ass with. Nimeona ni kama nini yangu power inaisha. Itaisha very soon. Anyway, it's just like a nice ninatumia laptop na nilisahau kubeba charger. It's just a nice document to wipe your ass with. Nobody is really following Vision 2030. But now imagine if we were all following Vision 2030. Kibaki 2000 Kibaki ameanza. Amefika mahali amefika. Uhuru comes in, anamaliza yenye Kibaki alikuwa ameanza, because tunajua tukimaliza barabara the next thing tunaenda ni hii. So Uhuru comes in and takes the next one after shamaliza ya kwanza. Now Ruto comes in, anakuta Uhuru kuna mali alibakisha na malizia, so that leadership iko connected. We are taking it one road, tunaenda. But now I can't just come and say, oh, Vision 2030 nasema telecommunication, so mimi nawacha roads zenye already zilikuwa ziko 3/4 way done, naanza kukimbia telecommunication huko. I'm wasting money, na ningemaliza kwanza barabara, and then when I get to telecom, haijalishi nitafika wapi time yangu ikiisha, because the next one atakuja amalizie, and then now we can track where were we when we set Vision 2030, where are we now, tumebakisha wapi. There was this time when China was hosting the Olympics. They are the last ones to host the Olympics, right? If I'm not wrong. So they were building stadiums strategically. Because they have their 100-year plan. Those stadiums, the Olympic, were being built strategically mahali kuna higher education universities. Because once tumemaliza na Olympic, we are handing over the stadium to the university, waendelee na hiyo story yao ya kufanya sports na nini. Of course iko na hizo place za kulala and everything also to generate income for them. So nothing is being done just for the sake. But Kenya tunafanya vitu because mimi Ruto nataka kuonekana mzuri. Raila anaambia watu tuendeni kwa street because anataka kuonekana yeye ni mzuri. Haangalii hii kwenda kwa street inaharibu nini. Ruto naye haangalii ni juu nimeacha vitu za Uhuru inaharibu Kenya aje. Uhuru naye haangalii kwa sababu vitu Kibaki alikuwa anafanya nikiacha inaharibu. Yeye anaangalia my legacy. That's the stupidity that we have with our political leaders. They want a legacy of nonsense. But now imagine if there was a continuation. Inasaidia mpaka time ya nini inaitwa nini, time ya campaigns, because Kenyans have the document. So the only thing you have to sell to us is I'm coming in na maliza hii project ya fulani, kuna mali aliwacha huku wa kujenga huku the same projects zenye zinaendelea. And then this other one comes and says, you know what, this is what after this project, this is what I'm doing. And then we see who has a better plan kwa Vision 2030 yetu. But now we also don't understand Vision 2030. The politicians don't understand it, but the politicians understand it. But they know that as long as we are ignorant as the people, just like Anaijanza Sai, as you see, these guys were talking about these things 12 years ago. If you showed this person without ye kuona ilipublishwa lini hata any conversation ilifanyika jana. If you show this thing 30 years from today, it will still be like imefanyika leo. Because we're carrying on these issues. And this is something which I always say. Nasemaga hivi. Our problem is from the beginning. So we have the wrong question. So once you have the wrong question, you can't have the correct answer. Because the question is already wrong. In terms of problem solving. If the question is wrong, there is no way you can have the correct answer. So in Kenya, the question is wrong. And the question is, how can Kenya have good governance and development? Now, if we set the correct question, then we have to make sure that the formula is correct.
Yes.
Because if the formula is wrong, even if the question is correct, hatutaipata the correct answer. And I see my PC Nazima. Let me just wrap up nikisema asante sana kujoin stream. I think my head was sijui wapi. This conversation is too interesting, but sasa laptop inazima and my PC does not have webcam. Nitatafuta webcam ya hii kompyuta kubwa. I am suffering. So nimeshukuru sana.
Yeah.
I will try as much as possible to be doing these things Sundays because your time niko free. And even see my setup is different. Say niko kwangu. Weekdays na kuaga mahali tofauti job. This has been a very interesting session. Thank you for joining. And jana singeweza kukuja WhatsApp and nilikuwa nimebeat.
Inakubalika bana.
I hope you had a good session jana.
Jana bana, wajamaa wako come up, but you know, it's me, for me now I don't actually have anything personal. Unajua ni ile yani mtu, it's something which people have to do ile willingly. So wakikam ni sawa, I really appreciate. If they don't come, it's also the same. But if I can just mention something quick on what you are talking about. I think the guy who was I want to be quick because kona nini ngapi, it's Vusi Thembakoya, and he was talking about the difference between politicians and leaders, and that is our main problem. So he's saying that the people who fought for freedom, especially during now the colonial period, most of them, like ukiangalia the likes of Nelson Mandela, the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, they were not politicians actually. They were most of them, they were leaders. So they were leaders who went into politics. They were not politicians who became leaders. So they were leaders who went into politics. So they had a clear understanding of the problems of the people. And once they got into power with the information and the resources they had, they did the best they could. Now, if we could give a brief explanation on like a difference between politicians and leaders. Leaders think in terms of generations. Wanafikiria like whatever we are doing, the choices that we are making today, how will they impact our generations in the next 10 or 20 or 30 years to come. Politicians, immediately they get into power, it's about election. So they start strategizing on how they're going to win the next one instead of now focusing on the problem. And that's why you see now it's a problem. Loot too. They are looting and looting as they are now kind of hoarding money so that they can run the next election. So the thing about governance is having this kind of for us to have good governance, we need to have these kind of conversations, and I really appreciate we have to have these kind of conversations. We talk about them. We talk about what is good leadership. We talk about politics, and we try and create a positive environment where we can run these things. So yeah, it's a nice session, man, and I really appreciate being here.